I was Rose Ellen Murray, and I was born in Gympie in 1930, and my father was born in Gympie, so they lived just over Horseshoe Bend there in those days. And I went to school, we lived in One Chapel Lane, just down from the railway station. And I went to the Catholic school, and we walked, of course. I was the fourth one in five of us, yeah. And the boys went to the brothers, and I went to the convent. And Caleb actually was when he started, he was in the same room that was still there up in the old part. You know. Well, it was in the Depression years, of course, and there was no work around the place. My father used to work in the mines originally too, for a while, and then they went onto a share farm out at Amamoor. It was Edwards at Dagun, actually. Moorhouse Gully. I don't know whether I think they call it Moorhouse Gully now. But, and he grew bananas and things like that. But I was only little. I know Mum used to say she put me in the basket when they went up to on the bean, so I didn't roll out of the thing down the... But my two older brothers, they started school at Dagun, so they were there a little while. And then, well, they didn't get any money back on the pineapple, on the bananas, of course. And I think they got enough to pay for the freight. But that was, you know, and then, of course, we went back to Gympie, and because we still had the place in town, you know. That was where Earl went to school at Dagun, the husband, you know.
Yeah.
And then they shifted the school down to Amamoor itself. It had its 75th anniversary here a long time ago.
So your husband grew up in Dagun?
He grew up in Amamoor. How it happened was he was, you know, I think Amamoor was the hub of the valley at that time. Might have been, in his estimation it was. And we didn't. My sister married a fellow from Amamoor too eventually. So there's only two of us. And when we used to, well, after I left school, we went to the dances, you know. I was allowed to go because Mari was older than me. She was years older than me. And after I left school, and I started work at a butcher shop. I did all the books and all that sort of thing. And anyway, this night we went to the dance, and I was 16 at the time. And then Earl came in from Amamoor with some of his friends. And they were at the dance too, and that's where we met. And that's been the story ever since then. Well, then I was engaged when I was 17, married when I was 18, had Leslie when I was 19, Ronald when I was 20. Well, we always went to the dances in town, but we weren't allowed to go out to the bush dances in those days, you know. It's like swimming, you know. Dad used to take the boys swimming, but there's nowhere for girls to go swimming, so, you know, that was the story of that era. But, when we always went, when we went to Amamoor, they always, for their holidays, they used to cover the pineapples with the paper so they didn't get sunburnt. And for their holiday then, they all went camping down at, Rainbow Beach now, you know, those areas, all those. His father used to take them. I think it was Sunshine Beach or something. But no, he taught me to swim out there. He thought it was terrible a girl couldn't swim. When we went to Amamoor, we always went to everything, like show. Well, we always went to the Gympie show, and we went to the valley, you know, any things out at the valley that was on, and the dances and the pictures and all those sort of things, you know. Yeah, it's Amamoor itself. That's where I lived, on Blackgate Road.
Yeah?
Yeah, they had the pineapple farm. There's a photo that's all up the hill or somewhere, you know. Yeah, well, two of his brothers, they had a place at Touchy. They had a big pineapple farm out there. It was all interesting, and none of this, you know, when they were picking pineapples and everything, Earl used to be disgusted later on, when they'd carry him in the basket and tip him in the thing. In their day, they carried him in the basket all right, but everything was placed, it wasn't pushed. They sent a lot of the fruit to the good fruit. Well, they had shares in the cannery, in the cannery for years. And then they sent a lot of the fruit south, the good fruit. They got a better price, I suppose. Golden Circle, yeah. Yeah, it was the big mill at that time, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Well, they used to, Eric, that's Earl's brother, every afternoon they used to take the crop down, and he used to get everything for us. The other brother lived in a place over there, and one lived at the bottom of the hill. So it was a joint sort of a thing, and they'd get anything. But yes, they had the one shop. It was funny, I've even got a checkbook from when they first came to Amamoor before my time, and it was £2 something was the monthly thing at the shop. I think it was Sam Prink at the time at the shop. But, there was a big family of them. And in those days, just unreal, actually. Of course, then we used to milk the cows and churn the milk and feed the calves and make the butter and all these sort of things. They're very interesting. Well, they used to have, I've still got it at home, an old cowbell that they used to ring for them to come down off the hill for lunch of a day, All these things were, and I had the churn, and when we came to town, of course, I didn't keep all that paraphernalia. But the only thing to keep, was a meat safe. You used to put some water in it to keep the butter cool and that you made yourself. I never was partial to homemade butter. It's funny, because I was used to town butter, I suppose. Well, I used it, because, but I didn't think it ever, I made it and everything, but yes, it's just a thing of the times, isn't it, We went in there in 48 and we came to town in 53 because at that time, Earl's mother, she was in Brisbane, and it was Earl and the the last of the family, the three boys, they ran the farms, Before that, his father was, of course, but his father was sick and he died when Earl was 17. So, as I say, I never ever knew his father, which was a shame. I know all the stories and everything, which is nice. But, yes, and, well, Ma died. His mother died eventually. So it was Organ and Sons in the three. And so when she died, they still kept on farming for a while. And then they finished the place up at Amamoor, and they worked the one in Amamoor for a good while until we sold out. And they all came to town. They came to town then. Ernie and Dorothy, they bought a shop up at Harvey Bay, and they had 3 shops in the long run. One of the boys had that sugar and spice or something that's up there still, and had the menswear. Keith had the menswear, and yeah. So I did love it out at the valley, we still go out a lot. They've got where the main shop was. Now they've got a cafe and everything attached to it. It's a lovely, lovely spot to have a cup of tea and what have you. And the other shop, it closed down, of course. And Herbert was the butcher shop, and what's the name was the baker. And as I say, my sister, she married Bernie Garrett, and he was over the bridge at Amamoor. How the little bridge goes up towards Muster side. And they lived there, and he had a farm up further, up towards Forestry Way, And I used to go over there. We used to visit one another, of course, and I used to push Ronnie in a cane old thing, and Leslie used to come along behind. It was all very exciting, They used to come to town every Friday, I think, mainly. Well, we always came to town Friday. And when we came to town, of course, Mum and them were in Chapel Lane still, where I was. And Well, we used to go there all the time too, you know. And then Mum and Dad, they they took up a place and built down at Crab Creek, down at Kahlua. And that shop that's down there now is where their house was. We used to go down there a lot, you know, and go crabbing and fishing and all that sort of thing. Well, Dad and them, they had an old shack that some of the men, they used to go down at, I don't know whether the fishing was the way it's done today, but, you know, some things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they used to, you know, like to get away down there. And of course, we've always done a lot of travelling, always have, you know. Yeah, well, we've been all around Australia and it's always nice back to Gympie, isn't it? And not only that, you know, people will say this, that or the other, but you like everything's got its own charm and it's different for the people that live there. That's natural, you know. Even overseas is the same, isn't it, you know?